Happy New Year, nerds, and welcome to the very first episode of the Nerd History Podcast, the newest addition to the Love Thy Nerd Podcast Network, and a little more, I want to say homey. This is our home. It doesn't quite look like a home behind us, but I feel like it's a more cozy atmosphere than most of the podcasts on our network, and I hope we are that for you, a warm place. The Nerd History Podcast exists to do what all nerds love the most, talk about the history of their favorite fandoms until the person they're talking to is dead-eyed. Each episode, we will spotlight one particular nerd history event from that week, and then take a deep dive into the fandom, the lore, and the nerdy facts. I'm Radio Matt. I'm the Director of Content and Resources for Love Thy Nerd, and the Station Manager for LTN Radio. And with me today, and forevermore, is my amazing bride, Deidra.
Hello, I'm Deidra, and since I'm in charge of him, I guess I'm also in charge of content and resources, right?
But, not sure the math works out on that. Today on the show, we are talking about Sherlock Holmes, a character that celebrates his 170th anniversary this week. But First, today is January 1st, so let's start by taking a look at what we are celebrating today. What's celebrating the anniversary today? Deidra, first up, the Men in Black.
In 1990, the Men in Black premiered in comics with Men in Black #1. The short comic series was a science fiction story that featured agents who investigated and dealt with paranormal phenomenon such as aliens, demons, and monsters.
So the comic book series was created and written by Lowell Cunningham, who got the idea from a friend who introduced him to the concept of the government's Men in Black who investigate UFO sightings. So this was a thing that existed before the comic books. This was one of those. I remember even watching this, I want to say early 90s. I know 1990 again is the same, but early 90s, there was like you would go to the movie rental place. It wasn't Blockbuster that I went to. It was like a local home thing, but they had a whole section of like the UFO documentaries before they were on TV all the time, before History Channel became the UFO channel. Like it was like you had to go rent these very off-brand videotapes that, guys paid for and filmed in their basement. But there was one that went through all these different government agencies, and the Men in Black was one of them. They were specifically sent to deal with alien threats.
Wow. Okay.
And so this guy took that idea, ran with it, made a whole comic book out of it. Comic book was originally published by Aircell Comics, which was later bought by Malibu Comics, which was then acquired by Marvel Comics. So Marvel is now the owner of the property. Marvel published a number of one-shot comics based on the movie franchise in 1997. The comic book series had a different cast of characters in the movies, such as Agent X, and not X like the letter like would follow the movie, but ECKS, X, who became a rogue agent after learning that the MIB sought to manipulate and reshape the world in their own image. So it's a different story. The movies was very much more comedic and kind of wholesome. It's like, hey, we just want to protect the people that don't want to know you exist from knowing you exist.
Right.
And keep our planet safe. But MIB was a little more
dark,
devious. Dark, too. Like in the movies, all they deal with is aliens. But in the comic books, they deal with demons. They deal with monsters. Has much more like a supernatural movie feel or TV show feel to it. And I think they did a little bit of that in the cartoon that followed the movies. Remember when they were making a cartoon after every popular movie in the mid-90s?
Yeah, I feel like I remember that. Yeah.
The Mask and Ace Ventura, they both had a comic or both had a cartoon that came out.
Now I have to go watch the Ace Ventura cartoon.
You didn't know it existed?
No?
They even had a crossover episode with both The Mask and Ace Ventura in one episode.
That's crazy.
Isn't that amazing?
That's crazy.
Anyway, next up, Quake.
Quake. In 1996, Quake released on the PC. Quake is a groundbreaking dark fantasy. Oh my gosh.
Groundbreaking.
He made me read these ahead of time and I still don't get it. It's a groundbreaking dark fantasy first-person shooter game by ID Software that inspired many retro-styled FPS games.
These are all terms that Deidra knows fluently.
Definitely. It features a true 3D engine, a variety of weapons and enemies, 4 dimensions of medieval environments, and a soundtrack by Trent Reznor.
Reznor. Are you dyslexic?
I think so. And 9-inch nails. What I'm doing is I'm making sure he never makes me read again.
Oh, the funny part is she'll be reading every one of these. Well, there are some interesting facts that are coming up, but I'm not really a big PC guy when it comes to these kind of games. I wasn't really into them. So we've got a person on the line right now, my friend Craig the Gamer, and he's going to explain to us just why Quake is such a groundbreaking game. Craig, are you there?
Yes, I am here. Thank you for welcoming me into your dojo. Deborah, terrible job reading the back of the box for the Quake PC game. Let's see if I can help you understand just a little bit better about why Quake might possibly be the greatest PC game in all of history. Quake featured brand new lighting and graphics technology, using fully 3D polygonal graphics for the first time in a first-person shooter game. Quake World, an update to Quake, revolutionized multiplayer gaming by introducing client-side prediction, which reduced lag and improved responsiveness. Quake's development was influenced by H.P. Lovecraft's works such as the Cthulhu mythos and the Necronomicon. The game's final boss, Shrub-Niggurath, was named after a Lovecraftian deity. Quake spawned a huge modding community, which created many custom maps, models, skins, weapons, and game modes. Some of the most popular mods were Team Fortress, Capture the Flag, Rocket Arena, and Quake Rally. That is why Quake might perhaps be the greatest PC game that has ever been made, and why I will be playing it now all weekend long.
Thank you, Craig.
I'm better than you.
Last time Craig and I worked together, I caught him eating my last Hot Pocket.
Okay.
Last up, Kaleidoscope.
In 2023, Kaleidoscope premiered on Netflix. Kaleidoscope follows a master thief and his crew as they attempt a $7 billion heist, but face betrayal, greed, and other threats along the way. The series had a unique format that allows viewers to watch the episodes in any order they want, creating different perspectives and experiences of the story.
The series does have that unique structure, which it was like the way I heard it was that you wanted to start with black and end with white. So that's what I did. But then every other episode in between, you could watch in any order.
Whatever you want.
And so Free Play, Bubba, Matt, and Kate were supposed to be watching them, and they were going to be watching them in all different orders. Mm-hmm. And 2 of them wound up watching them in the exact same order by mistake.
Whoops. Should have planned it out.
But I watched a different order than the 2 that they made on the show. It's very interesting just how it changes the perspective. Each episode focuses not only on a different character, but at a different point in time as they're planning the heist, long before the heist, way after the heist. It's very, very interesting. And then the white is the heist itself. And so you get all these bits and pieces of the story and who's going to betray whom and what, and then you don't actually fill in all the last gaps until you see the actual heist episode. It's very well done, a very interesting story. I don't think they could do a second season with this cast, but I think that they have ample room here to make more series following that structure. Very fun.
How many episodes were there?
So there were, I think 11. It's 9 or 11, somewhere around there. But,
okay.
I do know that there are 5,040 different watch orders that you can choose. It's just like Sonic mix-ins, You got like 11 flavors, but you can make 80,000 different drinks when you combine them. It's like...
The math person in me is trying to figure out if that's right. And how many episodes it would be to
it's gotta be.
Make that.
Haven't you heard the thing about the deck of cards? How if you shuffle a deck of cards, it's likely that is the first time it's ever been in that exact order. because the chance of you getting the same order of 52 as someone else is like billions and billions and billions. I'll have to look that up later.
I'm doubting you.
The episodes are titled with colors, not numbers. The scripts are also color-coded, and actors receive the episode most relevant to their character first. So they got their episode first. Rosaline Elbay, who plays Judy, Leo's wife and partner in crime, set the show on fire. Literally, she accidentally burned down a set while they were filming a scene where she had to simply light a match. So there we go. Every day at lovethynerd.com/nerd history, we post an article and accompanying video spotlighting that day in nerd history with pictures, descriptions, nerdy facts, and some commentary. So make sure that you start your day with lovethynerd.com every day. Now it's time for a game.
Ooh, each week we go head-to-head in a game to put our nerdy nostalgia knowledge to the test. We will ask each other 5 questions, all multiple choice. If we get the wrong answer, we have to keep guessing again, which I hate. And each wrong answer earns an X. So the fewest X's at the end of the round wins.
It's like golf, kind of. Today, we're going to take a stab at some TV trivia. No specific category beyond just television.
Oh, dear.
So these questions should come from anywhere in the TV world. Didn't get a coin.
That does not sound good to me.
Let's flip a coin here. Do you want to go heads or tails? You want to go first? What do you want?
Brought my little decision coin.
Heads
I'll
or tails?
choose heads.
And it is tails. Tails, I don't know if you can see it on camera.
So what does that
So
mean?
I get to choose, and I'm going to choose.
What?
I go first. I'm going to go first.
Usually it's heads, you go first. Tails,
Well,
I
look,
do.
you left it up to me to decide, and thus here we are.
So you're answering first.
I'm answering. So you ask the
Okay.
questions, and I'll answer.
This doesn't look good for me, just reading these. Who played Chandler's father on Friends? Elliot Gould? Kathleen Turner? Really? Nathan Lane? Michael Douglas?
Oh, man. You said really, I think it might be Kathleen Turner. Wasn't the story that his mother, had a change?
Oh, his father, you mean?
His father, rather, yeah. Oh, gosh. My first thought was Michael Douglas, but
We have just lost so many Friends fans who are like, you don't know this?
It's right. If that is right, that seems like it should be a very clear point in the story. I'm going to guess Kathleen Turner. Oh, yes.
What?
Kathleen Turner
dear.
played Chandler's father, Charles Bing, in several episodes of Friends, including the one with Chandler's dad, which aired on May 10th, 2001. Whew.
Okay. All right.
Your face.
In Bewitched, what part of her body does Samantha twitch to practice magic? Her ears, her nose, her bottom, her forehead.
That would have been a whole different show. It was her nose.
Yeah. I mean, if you didn't know that from the original, you know that from the movie.
Right. I gotta watch that movie again. That was a good
too.
movie.
Me too. Yeah.
Will Ferrell.
Every episode of Seinfeld contains an image or reference to what superhero? Come on. Spider-Man, Plastic Man, Superman, Batman.
Superman. Image of Superman, a reference to him somewhere in every episode of Seinfeld.
This is unfair. What TV series showed the first interracial kiss on American network television?
I think
This
we
is
learned.
not fair.
Go ahead.
All in the Family, Family Feud, The Cosby Show, Star Trek.
So it's Star Trek, but I think we learned that it's not actually the first time it happened on American network television. It's like the most famous, it was the most watched, but even William Shatner himself had another interracial kiss with a woman of Asian heritage like a year prior on another show. So like it happened before this, but anyway, the first most well-known interracial kiss on American network television was a Star Trek episode entitled "Plato's Stepchildren," which aired on November 22nd, 1968, where Captain Kirk kissed Lieutenant Uhura. Some stations in the South U.S. originally refused to air the episode. Yeah. All right, last one for me. See if I get any X's, huh?
What is the phrase on the UFO poster in Fox Mulder's office in X-Files? Trust no one. We are not alone. The truth is out there. I want to believe. The truth is out there.
That was DC Talk's attempt to get in the movie soundtrack. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah. They made that song hoping to get on the soundtrack for X-Files.
Oh my gosh. And they saw right through them.
Okay, it's not Trust No One, but it could be any of those other three. I wasn't heavy into X-Files because it was creepy when I was a kid.
Yeah, I think we tried watching it.
Even we tried.
And
we were like, nah.
Like the first episode, we were like,
a little
no.
too much. There was a really cool crossover episode with cops.
Come on.
It was so good.
Oh my gosh.
It was like you were watching an episode of Cops, but you kept running into Mulder and Scully. It was an alien thing. But they were like, it felt like a reality.
Did they do the opposite too, like on X-Files?
I don't think. There might have been a few scenes, but I think it was mostly shot from the
Running
perspective
into cops
of
with
the cop
cameras.
show.
Like, what is this?
Yeah, that was a really good episode. Okay. I don't think it's We Are Not Alone. I think it's The Truth Is Out There or I Want to Believe. I feel like it's I Want to Believe.
I want to believe.
Yeah! Famous I Want to Believe
you
UFO
stinking
poster from
kidding
Fox Mulder's office in the X-Files continually had to be replaced as copies kept disappearing from the set. The poster on display at the Hollywood Entertainment Museum in Los Angeles is reportedly one of the last available copies of the original set use posters. That's hilarious.
Wow.
All right, well, I bat 1,000 right there, Deidra. So
Yes.
you can't win.
More like you're batting 0, right? Because you have no X's.
I don't know how sports works. I'm winning. I have a hole in nothing. What television series was the first to air the sound of a toilet being flushed?
What the heck? What the heck?
Is it Maude, The Addams Family, All in the Family, or Leave It to Beaver?
I don't even know what mod is.
Maude, you don't remember Maude?
No.
It's in the vein of the
I'm
Golden
going to
Girls.
say the Addams Family just because it was,
X number 1.
Oh, there we go. Game's over.
Game
Let's
over.
go home. Leave It to Beaver? I feel like it wouldn't be
have
that.
been even Beaver.
Let's try mod. Of course. How about All in the Family?
In 1971, All in the Family, starring Carol O'Connor and Gene Stapleton, became the first series to be videotaped in front of a live studio audience, as well as the first to air the sound of a toilet being flushed.
How exciting.
What?
Good job, guys.
Yeah.
Groundbreaking.
Who shot JR? Was it Jenna Wade, Sue Ellen Ewing, Pamela Barnes Ewing, or Kristen Shepard?
Who's JR?
So you remember the episode of The Simpsons where Mr. Burns gets shot?
Uh-huh.
And it was like, who shot Mr. Burns? And then we had a whole summer to try and guess who it was.
Yes. Uh-huh.
And then they came back season premiere the next season.
And it was Smithers.
And it was the baby. It's Maggie Simpson.
So this
This was
a
like
thing?
the original TV event that inspired that
Okay.
several years in the past. I don't remember what show it was on.
Okay.
It'll tell us, I'm sure, once we get there. I think it might have been Dallas. But anyway,
That's Dallas.
take a guess.
Sue Ellen,
Nope.
Pamela Barn, you.
No. You would think it would have been one of them, right? If there was 2 Ewings.
I was just
Jenna Wade.
sure. Thanks, Matthew.
Shepard.
I thought you knew everything.
Final scene of the 1978-80 season of Dallas. J.R. Ewing hears a noise outside his office, walks out to the corridor to look, and is shot twice by an unseen assailant. The episode, titled A House Divided, was broadcast on March 21st, 1980. The viewers would have to wait until the November episode, Who Done It?, to learn that the shooter was Christian Shepard, J.R.'s mistress, and his wife's sister.
Oh.
Oh, yeah,
Hey-o.
booyah, booyah.
Okay, so I've gotten 9
You've
X's,
gotten,
right?
No, 6.
Did I get one right? No.
No,
Oh,
no,
no.
we've only had two-
We've only had two
two
questions.
questions.
Okay.
What color was Jeannie's harem costume in I Dream of Jeannie? Was it yellow, pink, blue, or green?
Blue?
Dang, that was my guess.
I really thought it was blue.
Yeah.
Pink? I don't think it's pink.
Jeannie's costume was pink. Jeannie's sister, also named Jeannie, and also portrayed by Barbara Eden, wears a green costume with a skirt rather than pantaloons. All right.
Okay.
In what TV show did Sheriff Andy Taylor first appear? Gomer Pyle, USMC, The Danny Thomas Show, Mayberry RFD, or The Andy Griffith Show?
I'm going to go ahead and say the Andy Griffith Show. But did Sheriff Andy Taylor first appear?
That's the character in the show. His name's not Andy Griffith in the show.
Oh, okay. Well, let's start there. I feel like it's...
Andy Griffith Show?
Yeah, sure.
Wrong.
Yeah. Gomer Pyle?
Wrong.
The Danny Thomas?
Oh, right. What? I thought it was Mayberry RFD. Ha! Okay, the Andy Griffith Show was actually a spinoff. Sheriff Andy Taylor first appeared on an episode of the Danny Thomas Show in which Danny is arrested by Sheriff Taylor for failing to come to a complete stop at a stop sign in the town of Mayberry. The character was such a hit that Andy soon got his own show and surpassed it, because I've never even heard of the Danny Thomas Show.
So he arrested him for failing to go to a complete stop. Okay.
Last question, Deidra. What sort of business did George Jefferson own in The Jeffersons? Gas station, butcher shop, construction company, or dry cleaner?
I don't know. I never watched it.
Moving on up to the east
Construction
side.
company?
Nope. That deluxe apartment in the sky.
Dry cleaner?
By 1975, Jefferson's fledgling dry cleaning business, Jefferson Cleaners, had successfully grown into a small chain. His newfound wealth led to moving his family to a deluxe apartment in the sky in Manhattan. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 X's. That might be a record.
I'm the best.
You got screwed over, I'm going to be honest. You got 5 very difficult questions.
I would agree.
Well, that does it for our game. Let's take a trip all the way back to 1854.
Ooh. Now just go ahead. Okay. On January 6th, 1854, Sherlock Holmes was born. The famous fictional detective created by Arthur Conan?
Arthur Conan Doyle.
Arthur.
Oh, yeah, it says author. I'm sorry. Arthur Conan Doyle.
Arthur Conan Doyle. Okay. First appeared in print in 1887 in the novel A Study in Scarlet.
So for those unfamiliar with the character, referring to himself as a consulting detective in the stories, Holmes is known for his proficiency with observation, deduction, forensic science, and logical reasoning that borders on the fantastic, which he employs when investigating cases for a wide variety of clients, including Scotland Yard. So this show, of course, or I'm sorry, not the show, but this character has inspired so many TV shows outside of Sherlock Holmes that we are more familiar with. Like, we really love Monk. We really love Psych. Even House would be considered this kind of...
I could see that.
You know, it's more medical version, but it's still a finding clues, sleuthing out.
I bet on the show he's even been referred to as, you're like a medical Sherlock Holmes.
I'm sure he was, yes. Castle, The Mentalist. There's so many shows that are like
I've
this.
never
where
watched
essentially,
Castle.
Yeah, me neither. It seemed like one of those generic CBS shows. I don't even know if it's on CBS, but just like all CBS shows look the same to me. But Monk and Psych specifically are ones that we're very, very familiar with.
I just finished watching Monk.
You just went through all of Monk, so we could watch the new Monk movie. The last Mr. Monk's Last Case. Is that what it was called?
Sure.
Something like that on Peacock. It was all right.
Yeah.
Didn't blow your mind, but it was good, and it was fun to see everybody back. But yeah, this kind of style really has taken off from that. You can even see elements of that in like Doctor Who in the occasional episode where they have to solve, mysteries in weird ways.
Yep.
Sherlock's popularity became widespread with his first series of short stories in the Strand magazine, beginning with a Scandal in Bohemia in 1891. Additional tales appeared from then until 1927, eventually totaling 4 novels and 56 short stories.
Wow.
All but one are set in Victorian or Edwardian eras between about 1880 and 1914. Most are narrated by the character of Holmes's friend and biographer, Dr. John H. Watson, who usually accompanies Holmes during his investigations and often shares quarters with him at the address of 221B Baker Street. 221B. Baker Street, London, where many of their stories begin. The character was so well known that in 1893, when Arthur Conan Doyle killed Holmes in the short story The Final Problem,
What?
the strongly negative response from readers was unlike any previous public reaction to a fictional event. The Strand reportedly lost more than 20,000 subscribers as a result of Holmes' death. Public pressure eventually contributed to Conan Doyle writing another Holmes story in 1901 and resurrecting the character in a story published in 1903.
Okay.
Hit me.
So they resurrected him. They're like, wait, I take it back.
Pretty
And
much.
Sounds like Doctor Who recently.
Right. Deidra, can you read us some fun facts about Sherlock Holmes?
I would love to. I love reading. He was inspired by a real-life lecturer named Dr. Joseph Bell, who could diagnose patients on site with his keen observation skills.
Yeah.
Yeah. He never said elementary, my dear Watson, in the original stories, although he did say elementary and my dear Watson separately.
That's like on Star Trek, where
Beam me up,
Beam Me Up, Scotty
Yeah.
never actually happened. It was always Beam Me Up, Mr. Scott. And there were times that he was called Scotty, several times, but never in that order. Those words never actually happened in that order.
Sherlock Holmes does not use deductive reasoning, but abductive reasoning.
Abductive?
Abductive?
Yeah.
Okay.
Abductive reasoning, yeah.
Which means he infers the most likely explanation from available evidence and probability. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Sherlock Holmes' iconic curved pipe was invented by William Gillette, like the shaver.
Like the shaver.
Okay. An American actor who played Holmes on stage and screen more than 1,000 times. That's cool. Mm-hmm. He's like, I need something to hold. Sherlock Holmes is the most portrayed fictional character in film and television, with over 250 appearances by more than 180 actors, making him the most popular human film character. There are also hundreds of radio drama portrayals.
Yeah, he is everywhere for centuries now. This is a character that does not go away. The most recent, or I guess most popular, there's been a couple more since then, but the most popular portrayals in our lifetime have been Benedict Cumberbatch, which was kind of like his breakout thing.
Who's that? Which one's
Doctor
that?
Strange.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
So the original BBC
Yes.
series that was going on at the same time you and I
So
started
good.
getting into Doctor
Yes.
Who.
Uh-huh.
And I loved that show because it wasn't like an episodic television series. It was like each season was 3 full movies.
Yeah.
Like they were standalone movies. There were arcs that went through them, but like you were sitting down for an experience every episode. It was I think they were all 2 hours long. Like they were full-fledged movies.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous, but really cool.
Yeah. I
Seasons
remember
were over so quick.
they were. I remember like getting real involved and they're like, oh, that's it.
Right, yeah. You barely. We thought Doctor Who. We thought Doctor Who seasons were short because it'd be like 10 to 12 episodes or whatever, and then you're done for a year, maybe a year and a half.
Yeah.
But Sherlock Holmes was like, all right, here's 3 weeks.
Yeah, and we watched
Enjoy.
those when they came out,
did,
right?
yeah.
So we had to sit there and
But they were
wait.
real good, real intense.
Yeah.
Real good, fantastic. And then we also had, and those were also more modern. They were in modern times, cell phones, all kinds of things. The Benedict Cumberbatch.
They were, yeah.
Remember?
Yes.
One of the episodes had a phone lock that they had to try and figure out, phone passcode. But then we had a portrayal more in the Victorian era, which was Robert Downey Jr. Iron Man.
Thank you. Thank you. That was one I knew.
You play Sherlock, you get to play Marvel superhero. That's how it works.
Right?
No, Robert Downey Jr. did really good in two movies that were supposed to be the first two of a trilogy. We were supposed to get a third movie.
Did they leave us hanging on the
They
second
didn't leave
one?
us hanging, but there was another story to tell, and they just didn't get to it. I don't think the second movie did as well. First movie was really good.
Yeah.
Second movie was all right. But that first movie was really, really good. Added some new mechanics to the style of, like, we would go into his mind and see, he would plan out every move that he was going to do, and then bum, it would hit him really fast. That was really neat. Biggest letdown of my life was that when Doctor Strange and Tony Stark met for the first time in Infinity War, there was no
mention.
Sherlock joke.
There should have been, yeah.
I mean, I'm not advocating for cussing, but there should have been a no S Sherlock line somewhere between those two characters. And then once it was said, they would both give each other just a slight look and then move on and not address it anymore. And the fact that that didn't happen, and that's the only time it would work, is when they first meet. The fact that that did not happen in that movie will haunt me until our death.
Maybe it was like a deleted scene.
I hope so much. But how that didn't happen, I don't understand. What is wrong with you guys over at Marvel?
That would have been funny.
So there were actually 6 different mainstream portrayals of Sherlock Holmes in recent history. So we actually went to LTN and we took a poll and we asked which of these actors who recently played a version of Sherlock Holmes did the best. And the options were Benedict Cumberbatch, Johnny Lee Miller, Robert Downey Jr., Will Ferrell. You remember Will Ferrell did a Sherlock and Holmes with his compatriot from Talladega Nights.
Really?
Yeah.
Like it was a movie?
Yeah. And it was
Okay.
about as good as you think it would be. Henry Cavill.
Who's that?
Superman.
Okay.
Every actor, we just have to find a superhero they played. So Deidra knows. Henry Cavill plays Sherlock in the Enola Holmes movies on Netflix, which follows Sherlock's little sister. You don't see him much, but he's in there occasionally. And then Ian McKellen, Magneto.
Are you serious? Are they all superheroes? Will Ferrell, you should be a superhero by now. Poor guy.
Ian McKellen, I think, is the most recent portrayal. He played like an elderly Sherlock Holmes in a movie, which I have not seen. But anyway, we got the results, and by far, Benedict Cumberbatch blow all the other ones out of the water.
Yeah.
Robert Downey Jr. is in second place with a little over 20% of the vote. But
25, maybe.
Yeah, close to it. But almost 50% went to Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
good job.
Good job, guy.
So even though they might not be the most well-known fandom, the Sherlockians or the Holmesians have nearly 300 official societies.
Holy cow.
There's some division in the ranks as to how the term should be applied, either Sherlockians or Holmesians.
Ooh, do they fight each other?
Generally speaking, American fans tend to lean Sherlockians and British fans lean Holmesians. Perhaps the most prestigious Sherlock Holmes society is the Baker Street Irregulars, an invitation-only organization that was only named for, was originally named for Holmes's intelligence network of homeless children. Other clubs include the Sherlock Holmes Society of London, the Bootmakers of Toronto, the Great Herd Bisons of the Fertile Plains, and the 17 Steps of Kyrgyzstan. Kyrgyzstan. I'm going to say that's it. There are also trade-specific Sherlock societies for such groups as poets, psychologists, mathematicians.
Wow.
In all honesty, it almost puts casual fandoms to shame. Like they put so much effort and work and prestigiousness into their fandom.
Wow.
And I guess that kind of seems fitting.
Right.
So if anyone's going to do it, it would be the Sherlock Holmes fans. That will wrap up this week's look at Sherlock Holmes.
Awesome. Are you a Sherlock fan? What's your favorite thing about the Sherlock franchise? Who is the best Sherlock in TV and movies in your opinion? We want to know. Tell us on the socials at thy nerd.
At thy nerd.
I can't do it. At Nerd History LTN.
It's been a while since you've been on the podcast.
I hate this.
Subscribe. Please save me. He's making me do this. He won't let me sleep until I record. Subscribe to the Nerd History Podcast via the Love Thy Nerd YouTube channel or on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc. And find us on lovethynerd.com/nerdhistorypod.
And we also have our daily Today in Nerd History short and article that comes out every day at lovethynerd.com/nerdhistory with photos and nerdy facts.
Oh, did you hear that?
Yes.
We've just received a message from the nerd future. Oh my goodness.
Okay.
On May 1st, 2026, the next Avengers movie will be released with a recast.
Okay.
Nicolas Cage will be replacing a disgraced Jonathan Majors. Nicolas Cage was asked about how he felt about the role of Kang the Conqueror, and he responded, I get to play 1,000 versions of Kang. If Loki got to be an alligator, I get to be a lizard, a shark, a heat-seeking panther. I'm Tony Stark on acid playing the zither. I'm your mother. I'm your best friend. I'm Superman. There's already a million of me. I'm the perfect choice. Wow.
Oh my gosh.
The future's bright. The future of the MCU has just turned around, folks. We'll be back next week as we travel back in time to another event to celebrate in nerd history. Once again, I'm Radio Matt.
And I'm Deidra.
And remember, in the past, the present, and future,
Jesus loves you, nerds.
Nick Cage voice.
It was. You were going a different direction.
I was doing like Andy Samberg playing Nicolas Cage. I wasn't even close to real Nicolas Cage.